What is up, everybody? My name is Tyler Potts and welcome back to day 78 of the 100 Data and Code series. In this video, we're going to be creating a custom date picker. As you can see here, we can create this, style up our very own date picker. So it has all the functionality of a normal date picker. You can go forward and backwards in dates. You can go to different years and select dates, and it will change the value of the date picker. You can go back to 2019 July and it will remember your selection. So if you're going through and you want to come back, it will always remember where you last were. So the reason you would create a custom date picker is because you want to match it to your brand. So for example, here we've got this blue brand, kind of like blue highlights. You can completely change this. Well, you can make this look however you want, because the whole point is it's custom. You can customize it however you want. You can change colors, you can change the layout. You can put this at the bottom here instead of there. Just all on how you would want to do that. And actually, I'm going to quickly prove that you can do that, because I'm going to quickly move the months below the days. Now, if we hit save and we go here, you can see it's now at the bottom and I can move it around, change it how I want to. So again, it's completely custom. All I did there was change some HTML around literally by just dragging it and dropping it below, and it completely changed how it looked, and it still worked. So again, it's complete custom. So without further ado, let's actually create this this custom date picker. So we're gonna start off by opening up a new folder with literally nothing in my favorite text editor, which is VS Code, and we're gonna create a few files. We're gonna create index.html, we're gonna create main.javascript, and we're going to create main.css. Now, in the HTML, it's very basic markup. We're going to go here. We're going to go in document. We're going to say date picker. And now in the body, we're going to have a H1, which says custom. We're going to have a span, not a sapan, a span, which says day and picker. Oh, that's PC picker. And then inside there, we're going to have a date picker object. So you'll be able to place this anywhere on your site. It won't just have to go in the dead center. Again, this is the whole custom thing. So you can style it however you want. So we need a few elements in it. We need the selected date, which is going to have the formatted date, which displays. We're going to have a dates dates element, which is going to hold all our basically where we select our date. This is going to be like the drop down. So we're going to have a month, and in here we're going to have two arrows, one which is going to have previous month, and we're just going to say and less than, and this one's going to say next month, which is going to have a greater than sign. So, and once we've done that, we're going to say dot month, like that, just so we can use those. So, and now we need one last thing called days, and this is where our selection of days is going to go. In here, we're going to quickly call our script source, and we're going to say main.js, and we're going to do the same for the CSS as well, just so it's all linked ready. So we're going to say main.css. Now, let me explain this. So the date picker is the wrapper for the date picker, so it's going to be the whole element. You're going to have the selected date, which is going to display the formatted selected date. Then we're going to have a dates drop down. So when we click on the date picker, it's going to open up this dates drop down, which is going to show the month. So we can choose the month, go back and forwards between months and years, of course, as well. Because if we go too far forward in months, it will go to December, then January 2020, for example, from 2019. And here we'll say using two little arrows, less than and greater than. And then we're going to have a month. So this month is going to say like July or August or whatever month it's going to be in there. After that, we're going to have a days, which is going to be 31 days, which probably doesn't make sense actually, because some months don't have 31 days. But for now, we're going to have 31 days. and if you need to, you can figure out which months don't need 31 days and you can minus those days from it. Maybe I'll do it, we'll see. But anyway, so we've got this date picker and we're going to go over to the main CSS quickly. Well, actually, first things first, we're going to run a surfer. So you can just, all you guys have to do is open up your index.html by double clicking on this index.html in your folder structure and it will open up for you. I'm going to use a live server so it refreshes as I do it. So as you can see here, we've got these 2 arrows and custom date picker as text. Let's add in some CSS to make that look a little prettier. So first things first, I want to add some resets. So I'm just going to set everything's margin to 0, everything's padding also to 0, and the box sizing equal to border box. I'm going to set the body equal to background color, not background color, and we're going to set it to the yellow I always use. Font family, it's going to be equal to this Serif font. We're going to have Helvetica and Sans. Yeah, sure, that'll do. Now, for the H1, we're going to say we don't need a width. I don't know why I do that. We're going to have a margin of 30 pixels auto. It doesn't even need, it just needs 30 pixels, 0 pixels really. We're going to say the color is equal to 313131. Font size is equal to 42, a whopping 42 pixels, and the font weight is equal to 900 because we want it to be black. We're going to set the text align center because we want it to be the center of our screen too. There we go, that's looking good, but if you was to come straight on this page, this is quite hard to read. Let's make it easier to read by grabbing our H1 span and setting the font weight to 300. There you go, now this date is now differentiated from the custom and picker words. So we've got this, but we don't actually see anything on screen right now. We're just seeing nothing. Let's go in here and write in a date. So let's say the 30th of the 7th, 2019, just so we can see it, so we can style it up. So let's go to date. Oh, not our JavaScript. Let's move this over so it's not next to it. Let's go in here and let's say date picker. We're going to set the position to relative because we're going to have some absolute elements inside of this. So it's width to 100, its max width to 320 pixels, its height to 60 pixels, background color equal to FFF, and a margin, of 30 pixels auto to center it. We're going to set a box shadow to 0 pixels, 3 pixels, 10 pixels, RGBA, and we're going to say 0, 0, 0, 0.2, and then we're going to set the cursor to pointer and the user select to none because we don't want to be able to select it. There you go, so that is what that looks like. But the date picker is cool, but the date picker .dates needs to display none. There we go, that's looking a bit better. Now in here, let's say date picker dot selected date, because we want to get the, is it called selected date? Selected date. We want to set its width to 100%, its height to 100%. We want to display it as a flex item, and we're going to justify content center and align item center. Oh, that's not right. I'm messing up my keys. Center, there we go. Now we're going to set the color equal to the 313131 just so it's there. There we go. We also want the font size on this, so we're going to say, let me also go, sorry, I need to zoom in a little. There you go. Hopefully that should help a little for you guys on mobile, that is. So font size 28 pixels just so it looks a bit bigger. There we go. That's starting to look good. Sorry, I had to take a drink there. I will forget to cut that out as I always do. So in the date, we now want to say, we've got it display number, we want to set position equal to absolute. We want to say top 100% because we want to push it all the way to the bottom. We want to say left 0, right 0 because we want it to take up the full width. And then we want to say background color equal to white because we need to be able to see it on the yellow background. So now we've got that sorted. Let's add a hover effect to the actual date picker so it looks like when we hover over it we can select it. Date picker, hover, and let's get the background, and we're going to set the background equal to F3, F3, F3. There we go. So now you see when you hover there's a slight tint to it, which I think looks pretty good. Alright, so we've got that, but now we need to see what we're actually doing. So let's add in some JavaScript just to toggle this to show the dates. So let's go into the main.js. Now in the main.js we need to get a few items. We need to say const date picker element, which is equal to document.query selector date picker. Again, you could probably add IDs to date picker to get these, or maybe even add a system where you don't need a date picker, where it creates from each date picker you have on screen. We also need to get selected date element. So we're going to set that equal to document.query selector.date picker selected date. We want to get the dates element, which is going to be equal to document.query, oh there it is, query selector date picker once again, and dates. Now we want to set a toggle for this, so let's set up some event listeners. Let's say date picker element dot add event listener, click where we're going to say toggle dates, or toggle date picker. Now let's create a function, so let's call a functions. Let's also call here event listeners, because we're going to write a lot of code which could get messy, so we want to add some common sense to basically separate everything. Let's say toggle date picker. Let's pass through the event because we're going to need that, and let's say if not. So actually, first things first, we want to say date element dot class list dot toggle active. Now let's go back, let's refresh, and let's click. Let's have a look if there's anything in our console. Did we miss something? Toggle date picker element dot on quick. Let's make a log test. Yeah, that calls. Oh, we're toggling the class active, but we haven't actually added in the CSS for it. So let's go down here, date picker dot dates dot active, and we're just going to say display block. There we go. Now if we click this, you can see it displays white block. But if we click on this block down here, you can see it hides, it disappears, because basically we're still inside of the date picker, and because we've set the event listener to be on the whole date picker, it means even if we click elements inside of it, it's going to disappear. Well, we need to fix that. So we actually are going to create a helper function. So I'm going to create helper functions, and down here we're going to basically create a function which checks the path. So we're going to say function check event path for class, because that's what we're doing. So we want to say path because we're going to pass through a path, and we're going to set the selector, which is going to be the class, and we're going to say for let I equal 0. So we're going to do a for loop here, and we're going to check that it's less than the path. So because the path is going to be an array, because it's going to have a path of elements, and we're going to say if path I, so get the path, dot class list and path I dot class list dot contains selector return true. And then after this, we're just going to say return false. So this going to return false if we don't find one in there. Now, what we're actually doing here is we're checking the event path. So where we click, we get an event, and that gives us the path of where we clicked. So if we clicked on an element inside of date selector, or the date picker, sorry, it will then tell us the whole paths of what the parents are of every single file from the element you clicked. Now, as you can see, we basically loop through every single item in that path, and we check that the class list exists, so it's not just a text element or like some sort of floating white space element, so it doesn't error. And then we check the path class list, which contains the selector, which we're going to pass through. So we're going to go up here and we're going to say if, if check event path for class. Now we'll go to e.path, because in this event we're going to pass back a path, and then we're going to pass the selector as dates, because we want to check if the dates, if we're clicking on the dates element, and we actually want to say if we're not checking on this. So if we don't click on this, then we can toggle the class. So let me actually console log e.path so you can see what this actually logs. So let's go back and let's refresh. Now let's click it. As you can see here, it's giving us an array with the path of what we click. So the top window, or the top element is window, then document, then HTML, body, then we get the date picker, then we get the selected date, and that's what we clicked on. Now if we click here, you'll see we clicked on all of them, and including the dates. So the dates is actually in there, and that is what we're checking for here. So we're saying, so if it's, oh, we also made an issue here. We're going to say path.length. So that would have errored. So if we go here, now we click on this dates area, you'll see it doesn't close because we'll click on dates. But if we click back up here, you'll see it will close. So that means just so when we click on these arrows or click on the date, it doesn't disappear every single time. So now we've done that, we need to basically style up that bit there. So, oh, my YouTube channel, let's close that. Let's go back here and into our index, and where we've got the month, let's just add in July 2019, just because it's what it's going to be like. It's going to be pre-formatted like that, just so we can style it up quickly. So inside of the main.css, we're going to go through dates, and then we're going to go date picker dot dates dot month, and we're going to display that as a flex item. We're going to justify content with space between, I believe, and then we're going to align items center. We're then going to add a border bottom of 2 pixels solid hashtag EEE, because basically we want to be able to see it. So now if we click there, you'll see we have this with the July 2019 pre-formatted with our clicky buttons here. Now we need to actually style up the buttons. So we're going to say we've got these arrows classes. So we're going to say date picker dot dates dot month dot arrows, and we're going to say width of 35 pixels, a height of 35 pixels, display, flex, justify content center, align items center, and then we're going to give them a color of 313131, a font size of 20 pixels, and then we're going to set up some hover states. So we're going to say hover. So when we hover on them, we're going to set the background color equal to F3, F3, F3. And then we're also going to set, why is it all the way up there? We're also going to set the active, which is going to be a background color of 00CA85, which is green. And then we're going to save that. So let's have a look what that looks like. Oh, we set that to hover. We want that as active. Let's have a look what that looks like now. There we go. So now when we click, you'll see they go to this green color. And we can do that. So before we had a blue color, I'm doing it green this time so you can see. Also in the main.script, we can get rid of that log because you guys have seen how that works. So a bit more styling has been done. Let's now style up the days. So although the days aren't there yet, we can still style up the empty days block. So we just want to say here a height of 200 pixels. The reason we want a height of 200 pixels is so we can, sorry, my throat was really dry there. The reason we want a height of 200 pixels is so we can basically have everything grow to fit this system here, because I think this is a good height and it looks pretty good. Again, you can style this however you want. This isn't the main part. The main part is the JavaScript, which actually adds the functionality. So we're also going to display this as a grid item, and we're going to set grid template columns to be a repeat of 7, because we have 7 days in a week, so each row is going to be a week. 7 1 fraction, so they're going to take up a whole row. So now if we go back and we refresh, nothing's going to happen, but it's all ready for when we do have some days. So if we was to add 7 days, so we'll say day times 7, and in each one we're just going to say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Ignore the random changing of words there. You can see they fit into 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It ran, for some reason I have like bootstrap snippets or something which has caused this. The thing is, it doesn't actually work when I want to use it. There we go. So it will look something like this. Let's style up the actual days to be center. So let's go here. Let's copy this. And let's say .day. And inside the day, we're going to basically just display as flex and just center the item. Justify content center, align item center, and the color to be a 313131. Hit save. And it's kind of broken, but once we have all the days in there, it should fix it up nicely. Because if we was to repeat this now, 1 2 3 4, and we did that, you'll see it kind of works. We actually have 5 days or 5 weeks there. There we go. So that's kind of working. Let's remove the days because we don't actually need these yet. We're going to dynamically populate the days. Now, I think that's it for the styling. We just need to add a day selected. So we're going to say here .selected. And up here we're going to say the background color is going to be equal to that green we selected, and the color is going to be, actually color can stay as 3131. So that is all the CSS we need right now. Let's work on the JavaScript. So we have everything we need now. We now need to set up a few things. So let's go into our JavaScript. We've got the dates elements, but now we need a few more elements. So we're going to say const month element. So the element we had, which is going to display the actual month. We're going to say query. Oh, so please just let me query selector. There we go. Date picker. Date picker dot dates dot month dot month. That's what I think of it. Oh wait, it's not a function. What am I doing? We also need the next month button. So we're going to say, we're going to literally grab the same thing here. And in here, we're just going to say next month. I think I added a class for that, didn't I? Yeah, next month. And this one's going to be previous month. Oh, and we need element there. I'm making mistakes everywhere. Okay, that's looking good. We now need a couple of other elements. So we're going to get the days. or the day's elements, should I say. I'm going to say document.query selector dot date picker dot date start days. And one other thing we need is now the months. So we need an array of each month written like January, February. I'm actually going to paste these in because it's going to take too long to do this. I have it on my clipboard over here. There we go. Just so we have all the dates in an array. Hopefully they're all right. Probably not, but we'll figure it out. And now we've got these elements, we need to set up a few things. So we actually need to get the current date. So we're going to say date is equal to new date, which could get us today's date. And then we're going to say let, or this maybe should be, instead of date, it should be, it's a date, but I mean it's the, no, we'll say day. We'll call this one today, and we'll say date dot get date, and that's going to return us the current day. We'll say let month equal date dot get month, and the same thing for year. So we'll say year is equal to get full year, because we want it to be a like for example 2019 instead of 19. Now we need to set some different values, which are going to be selected date, which is going to be equal to date. We're going to have selected day equal to day. So these selected days are originally going to be selected to the current date day for when we first load. But once we've done that, we're going to be modifying these ones, and every time we select a date, these values will update, if that makes sense. So we need two different dates to compare. Now we want to get that month elements.text content, and we want to set it equal to month. So we're getting this months array, and now we need to actually pass back the month. We then want to plus the year. And what this is basically saying here is we're going to get the month, so it's going to actually return us which month it is, which should return us July. And then it's going to also add on the year to the string, and that's going to add it. Oh God, I'm doing things. And that's going to add it into, so when we click here, you'll say it says July 2019. If we go and delete July 2019, hit save, go back, refresh, and click, you'll see it still says July 2019 because it's being populated by JavaScript now. So now we need to do it so when we click these two buttons, that this goes July, August, October, etc. And then when we get to December, we click this next one. This will go back to January, but this will say 2020. So let's do that. So in JavaScript, let's add some more event listeners. So now we need to get the next month element and say .add event listener, click, and let's say go to next month, or go to next month, and go to next month like that. And now let's add that function in. So under here, let's say function go to next month. We're going to pass through the event. We probably don't need it, but we'll just go pass it through anyway. And now we're going to get the month, and we're going to increase it. So the month we set up here, we're going to increase it. We're then going to say if month is greater than or less than 0. So if we're going to the next month, if it's greater than 11, so because month will be 1, by the way, so even though the 12th month is December, 11, this month starts at 0. It's like an array. It starts at 0 to 11. So 0 would be January, etc. so forth, just so you know. So now we want to say month is equal to 0 and year plus plus. So that's going to increase our year. And then we're going to say month element.text content is equal to months month plus space year, and then, oh, we need a plus there. Hit save, go back, refresh. Now, when we click next, you'll see it goes to August, September, October, November, December, and if we go forward one more, it goes to January 2020, and it will keep going 2021. Now we need to do the refer. So let's copy this, paste this, and let's say previous month button, and let's say go to previous month. So let's copy this whole function, paste it underneath, and rename this to previous. Now we need to decrease the month, and now we need to say if month is less than 0. So if it's less than 0, we're going to set this equal to 11, and we're going to minus the year. So this gets set to December and minus the year, and then we're going to set this again. So if we go back now and we refresh and we go backwards, you'll see it goes down. And if we keep going down, we're in 2018, 2017, February, and look, if we go to January, you'll see, well, now if I click one more, it's going to go to December 2015 and forward. So now we go forward and back with our dates and month, and this is actually setting our variables which hold our date and month and increasing them. I hope this is making sense so far. If not, then just drop me a comment and say I talk too fast, or tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if you enjoyed the video so far, leave a thumbs up, so it really does help. Okay, now we've got that. We now need to actually get the dates, so the days. So we're going to do this by populating the days with a function. So we're going to get a function that loops through 31 days, or how many days there is in that current month. So we actually need to know how many days are in each month, which I don't. So for now, we're just going to say 31, but we could create an array which tells us which month has what date, if you get what I mean. So let's go down here and let's say function. Actually, I've just realized something. We're starting this off with this date, the 30th of the 7th, but we've set that ourselves here. So we actually want to delete this now and hit save. When we refresh, you'll see nothing actually appears in there. We need to dynamically create it when we first start this, when we start first this page. So under here, we're going to say selected date element dot text content is equal to a function called format date, and we're going to pass through the date here, the date object. And now we're going to create a helper function which will, well, you could probably guess, help us format the date. So we're going to say function, if I learn how to spell, we're going to say format date, which is going to pass through a D, which is going to be stand for date. And we're going to say let day equal d.getDate. We're going to say let month equal d.getMonth. So it's going to get the current month of which date we pass through. We're going to say let year equal d.getFullYear. And then we're going to return day plus slash plus month plus, oh god, here we go, another slash, and plus year. So it's going to return the date formatted with forward slashes. But we're going to have an issue, but I'm going to show you what this is. So now, as you can see, it gets us the 30th of the 6th, 2019. Now that's wrong. It's actually, if you can see up here, it's Tuesday the 30th of July. That's saying the 6th. If you remember, I told you this month needs to be +1 because this actually is one behind the month, if that makes sense. It's like an array, as I said. So if we go back, that's now 7, which is correct, but you'll see it's not formatted correctly. It's got 30 of the 7 instead of 07 because we want it to be formatted with at least 2 values. And that's going to be the same with the day. So we're going to say here, if day is less than 10, we're going to say day is equal to 0 plus day. So that's just going to append the 0 to the front. And we're going to copy this and change all of this to month. So now you'll see we have a 07. And now that's formatted a bit better. Okay, now let's populate the actual days into the table. So we're going to create a function, but yeah, we're going to start by creating the first function, which is going to do it at the start. And we're going to call it, so this is going to be the most important function, pretty much. We're going to have function, it's going to call populate dates, because we want it to populate all the dates in the days array. And we're going to set the days element dot inner HTML equal to nothing, because every time we run this we want to clear the current days in there, because every time we click next we're going to re-render the days. So we're going to say for let I is equal to 0, I is less than 31, because we're going with a 31 days in a month. But again, you can dynamically change this depending on which month it is. So you could do a check. You could say if month is equal to February, for example, that would be 3. Or no, it wouldn't be, it'd be 2. If month, or no, it'd be 1. I don't know. It would be one of these. If equal to February, then the amount of days is equal to 28, because it's only 28 days in February. Maybe we'll say amount of days. I think that makes sense. I think that actually makes sense, but I don't know. Amount of days, and we're going to set up here let amount of days equal to 31. So this is just one example, but you'll probably need to do it for a lot more months. So you could probably set up a switch statement or something, or even actually have an array which has all these in. But for now, I'm going to do it like this. So I'm just going to say for February, which should be the first month, because remember, months start at 0, so that's January, February, March, etc. So we're going to check the month is equal to 1. If it is, then the days are equal to 28, because then we're going to only have 28 days. And now in this loop, we're going to say const day element, no, not days element, day element is equal to document dot create element, and we're going to set it to a diff. We're going to say the day element dot class list dot add. We're going to add the class of, you guessed it, day, because it is the day. We're going to say day element dot text content is equal to I plus 1, because basically what we're doing now is we're saying we're going to get the I, and which is going to be equal to 0, and we're going to plus 1, which means if it's 0, we're going to plus 1, which is going to be day 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to the amount of days, which makes sense. So that's going to be the correct day. We're then going to say, sorry, I had something in my throat. We're then going to say days, which days element dot append child day element. So now that should populate. Oh, we need to call this. So let's go up here, and underneath this, we're going to say populate dates. Now, as you can see, it's populated dates. We can go back, but nothing's going to change, because even though we're changing the value here, we're not actually updating this. Now we need to update it, so we're going to get this populate dates function, and in the go to next month, we're going to call populate dates, and go to previous month, we're also going to populate dates. So if we refresh and we go next, you won't notice it until we get to February, but when we get to February, there's only 28 days. I know it kind of looks weird because we're using grid, but we can set this up to be a static height instead of breaking the height. But you'll see that we only have 28 days in February. So it's re-rendering the page now, or the dates, should I say, not the page, which is good. That means it's working. Because these are the things we'll increment, and these are the populate dates. So now we need a few more things. We need to actually say, oh, what am I doing? We need to be in this thing here. And we need to say, before we actually append it, we want to say if selected day is equal to I. So if the current day is equal to I, and the selected year is equal to year, and selected month is equal to month, then day element dot class list dot add selected. So what this is saying here is we're saying if the, oh, that needs to be day plus 1, and we'll add that around those. So we're going to say if the day, so the day which is selected in the item, which is the 30th, oh look, you can see it happening there, is equal to the 30th. So if we're in the 31st array, so the 31st or the 30th day element, and the year is equal to the current year, and the selected month is equal to the current month, then we're going to select it. So that's going to select it. Now we need to be able to click on other elements to change them. So we now want to create an event listener. So we're going to say day element dot add event listener, and we're going to say click, and we're going to say a function which is basically going to change the date when we click on other dates. So far we've just got this, which is selecting the current date, which is pretty cool. But now we want to say selected date is equal to a new date, and we're going to pass the year with a hyphen, a month plus 1, because when we're actually constructing a new date, we actually need to get the month actually starts from 1 and not 0. So unlike how the date returns it, which is weird, it actually needs to be plus 1, which is going to get us the correct date. And then we're going to say hyphen plus, and then we need to say I plus 1, which is going to get us the day which we're selecting. We then want to say selected day is equal to I plus 1. We want to say selected month is equal to month, and we want to say selected year is equal to year. So if you remember, we're actually updating all these values when we click go to previous month and go to next month. So this is where this date is being pulled from. So when we go to the next month, we're going to set this select. When we click on an actual day, we're actually going to set the selected, because this will be the actual month or date we're selecting, and we're going to set it equal to the current month we're in. And then we're going to say selected date element dot text content is equal to format date, and we're going to say selected date, because we want to update that what the actual selected date says. We're then going to say selected date, selected date element dot dataset dot value is equal to selected date. And the reason we're doing this is so if you wanted to, you could easily get the value or the current date which you have selected from your element, and I'll show you how once we're done. And then once we're done, we want to say populate dates. So what this populate date is going to recall this date. So when we click on an element, it's going to recall this to re-render the elements, so they correspond correctly, which is going to update the selected. So now if we refresh and we go in here and we click 3, you'll see this changed and everything else changed. But now if we go to next month, August, and we click the 4th, you'll see now it's on the 4th of the 8th of 2019, which is correct. So let's go to a different year. We'll say July 2020, and let's say the 19th. It's going to be 19th of the 7th, 2020. And now that's updated. So that is how you create a custom date picker. But first, let me show you the data value which we set over here. So this selected date, we actually want to get this as well, and we want to call it when we first format the date there, because what we want to do is make sure we can get this date no matter what. So now we could actually use this date to format another date. So if we, let's say, had a form and we wanted to submit the form, we could easily get that value from this data set. So this gives us the date as a date time string there, which we can just add straight in, which is awesome. So now if we go along and we select 4th, again, you can see this gets updated. So we say 26th, you'll say it says August 26th down here, which is absolutely awesome. So I hope you have learned how to create your own custom date picker. You can style this up as much as you want. I want to see some really crazy custom ones. I want you to send me some screenshots. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to leave a like. If you want to see more, then hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be the first person on the scene, then don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified as soon as I put a new video live. If you got any comments or feedback, then drop it in the comment section below. I especially want to know if I'm talking too fast, if I'm explaining things wrong, or anything like that. So please let me know. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I really do appreciate the feedback. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching this video and peace out.